That was John Cena's intro on a kazoo. And this is All You Can Hear, non-canon file today. A little short-staffed, and by that I mean there's the only two of us here that watch wrestling. We are going to be reviewing. We're going to talk about TakeOver New Orleans. We're going to be talking about WrestleMania. We're going to be talking about the Raw SmackDown call-ups and whatever else from the weekend that we feel like talking about. And today, joining me, Tanner, is my co-host, Patrick. Patrick, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
You ready to talk about wrestling?
I am indeed.
So, Patrick, have you ever listened to a wrestling podcast? Just curious.
Yes, I've listened to a few. Listened to Talk is Jericho, Art of Wrestling, Colt Cabana, Edge and Christian's Spot of Awesomeness.
Okay, so the difference between a podcast that a wrestler runs and a podcast that a wrestling fan runs is that a podcast a wrestler runs usually about an hour.
Yeah.
But to be a true wrestling fan, your podcast has to go over 9 hours. That's the rules.
I'm not surprised. I can see that.
What was that? Cody's here being sound guy. Thank you, Cody, for coming. For being sound guy.
And plus, I think I wasn't sure, but I thought he hit a sick whip.
54 what?
No. 9-hour podcast tonight.
Oh, 9-hour pod. He was holding up 5-4. My mind immediately went to 54. I'm like, it's WrestleMania 34.
Just blowing our awards episode out of the water.
Yeah, no. This is going to be twice the length of the award episode with about half the content. So I hope y'all are ready. So let's just get to it. Let's talk about TakeOver. Unless you want to talk about the Hall of Fame and how somebody had the measles there, and now everybody at the Hall of Fame got emails saying, "Hey, you have been exposed to measles. You might want to go get checked out."
I didn't think that measles were still a thing.
Yeah, it's. They showed the guy that had. I think it was a guy that had the measles. Like, they showed a picture. I believe it was him. It looks bad. Like, it's a proper case of the measles. And he was at the Hall of Fame Friday before being admitted into the hospital on Saturday. And they were like, dog, you got measles. And you just exposed like 14,000 people to the measles.
It's like, I didn't think it was that bad.
Yeah, including the whole WWE locker room. So
I guess they're not going to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I guess they're not going to Saudi Arabia anymore. But let's just get to it. TakeOver New Orleans.
TakeOver New Orleans.
So Patrick, we didn't really talk about this. How do you want to do this? You want to go match by match, just talk about overall thoughts, or I think TakeOver New Orleans, maybe not for WrestleMania, but I think TakeOver New Orleans, it was short enough. We can go match by match, talk about what we liked and disliked.
Yeah, we can do it by match by match.
All right, so the first match on TakeOver New Orleans was the ladder match for the inaugural NXT North American Championship. Adam Cole versus EC3 versus Killian Dane versus Lars Sullivan versus Ricochet versus Velveteen Dream. First off, Patrick, you've seen Ricochet before, but you actually have like kind of a unique perspective where you've only seen Ricochet as Prince Puma, correct? Mostly.
Well, I've seen a good bit of him as Prince Puma. But I have seen a good many PWG matches.
Oh, okay.
And like a few, YouTube matches here and there.
Yeah. And yeah, I totally forgot he worked New Japan.
He worked New Japan
for like a year and a half as Ricochet. So this match is kind of different than a lot of your NXT TakeOver openers. Well, it was still long, but it also had two debuts in it. We had EC3 coming back to the WWE from TNA. We had Ricochet making his televised in-ring debut, and then you obviously had, you had Sullivan, you had Dane, you had Dream, and you had Cole. So this match, I didn't realize while watching it, or even when watching it back, it went over 30 minutes.
It did not feel like 30 minutes. Cause I thought when we watched it that Saturday, it was like 15. It was so fast paced.
Yeah, it was just like it was the spot fest in the best way. Like, the best spot fest to me are always ladder matches, because at least they somehow make sense. Like, oh, you're going to flip on that ladder. That looks like it hurts. But in the context of a ladder match, it makes a lot of sense. And I remember at the part, when we were watching it on Saturday, I was the only one rooting for Lars Sullivan, who is, I think, the correct large adult son to root for in this match. I liked everybody in this match. I think everybody looked good.
Yeah.
I think Lars and Killian had their really good Haas section. I think EC3 came off like a star. I think Ricochet came off like a star. Dream always comes off like a star. I actually think Adam Cole, despite winning it, maybe gained the least from the match, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I feel like he didn't have a big spot to himself other than him doing his bay after beating up EC3 for stealing his bit.
Yeah.
Or he had that super kick party in the middle.
Yeah, he threw a bunch of super kicks, but he didn't have I'm thinking about high spots in the match, and like Ricochet, had that insane shooting star press, and he had the insane moonsault to the outside, and like just bumping like crazy.
Yeah, he bumped like everybody bumped like crazy in that match,
Yeah.
but Ricochet went like an extra level and just like
Yeah.
died.
Like there was one point, I can't remember if it was Lars or Killian, threw him out of the ring, and he essentially just did a tope out of the ring onto the floor. I was like, oh, okay. Like that doesn't seem, because like Ricochet has like a reported history of like knee problems and stuff, as like a lot of these young high flyers do, just from landing on their knees so much. And I'm just like, wow, first televised match, and you're just going balls to the wall, which I mean, I respect. Obviously, you work hard to get there. So
yeah, this is his first televised match.
Yeah.
So he's got to like prove to all these new people and all the people they're expecting him to like, this is me. I'm still doing my high fly.
Yeah. So, and the one guy, we actually had kind of a unique perspective where we were watching it with a few people that aren't wrestling fans. Like Brianna, and she was watching it, and I think they automatically fell in love with Killian Dane and Velveteen Dream, who are two weird ones, I think, to just see and be like, I love these guys. These are my new favorite wrestlers.
Yeah, like I was really surprised. Like Brianna just latched on to Killian Dane, and that was her boy, and that was her favorite to win the match. And nothing against Dane, it's just like I guess like he seems a bit understated compared to the flashiness of others, but he's also very conspicuous. He's a very large man. He's also a very hairy man.
Yeah, that's like Brianna was like, he's Scottish, right? I was like, how did you even know? Like, I didn't talk or anything. Like, she was like, yeah, he's Scottish. and like, I don't even think she knew his name. She was just like, yep, Scottish.
It's like, that biggin, I like him.
Yeah, I was like, I like the big lad. Absolute unit. But I'm really happy with how everybody did in this match, because going in, I was like, well, this match could work weird, because usually ladder matches with, I mean, there was one flippy guy in this match and three guys, pushing 250, 300 pounds. And like that's usually and then obviously you had Dream and Cole, who aren't high flyers, but they're smaller guys.
Yeah.
And that's usually a weird dynamic for a ladder match. But I think here it worked out very well, just because you had your big guy. I mean, you even had your big guys do like some crazy shit. Like,
because didn't Dane do like a tope into Lars?
Yeah, like Dane did his tope, and like there was I think Lars went through the ladder, and Dane did the earthquake, the Tenta spot through the ladder.
Because they're the whole match, they were kind of one up each other.
Yeah.
Like Lars killed like Dream and EC3, and then Dane killed Ricochet and Cole.
Yeah. And there was that spot in the match where they started just throwing Ricochet at each other.
No, or was it Cole or was it Ricochet?
I think it was Ricochet, because I remember they were throwing Ricochet, and Ricochet was doing essentially like swantons onto the floor, and just like writhing in pain. I loved it. Overall, I think the ladder match, great success. I personally love the belt. I've seen the belt design gets mixed reviews. I love the North American belt.
Yeah, it's definitely a throwback to like the old style belt.
Yeah,
it has like the dark red leather and the golden sort of like gridded map of the North America on it.
Yeah, like it's one of those things, like the old like Mid-Atlantic TV titles used to be like, would take up an entire torso, and then just the belt straps is just a normal belt. It's kind of like a throwback to that, and knowing Triple H, how he's like the biggest territory mark on the history, in the history of the planet, makes sense.
Yeah.
So, but I like it. I'm interested to see what they do with it now that they have a North American title and a UK title. I'm like, are they gonna just expand? Are they gonna do like a Japan title or something?
Bring back the European title,
just make a whole ass European title? Who knows? So I'm interested how that goes. But yeah, great match, great opener. Despite going, like, I'm not the biggest fan of long matches, but it went 31 minutes. It feels about half that.
It just breezed by. So
Yeah.
You don't notice it.
Okay, next match for the NXT Women's Championship, you had Shayna Baszler versus Ember Moon. Patrick, what did you think about that match? I think you're like me. We're both huge fans of Ember Moon.
Yeah.
So what did you think of the match?
I will say, I liked it better on rewatch than I did the first blush round, because like first blush it kind of felt like Shayna was like, obviously they're building up Shayna to be the very dominant wrestler, and I was afraid that first time I thought this is just Shayna squashing Ember.
Yeah.
But looking back, Ember got more licks in than I realized the first time around, and I missed the whole bit where at the end where she had Ember and her submission that since Ember had dislocated her shoulder earlier, Shayna's shoulder, she's holding Shayna was holding her hair to complete the lock.
Yeah.
And keep the pressure on. I thought that was pretty clever.
There was a lot. I agree with you. I enjoyed this a lot more on rewatch. There's like, it's weird with these people that come over from mixed martial arts into pro wrestling, how they like, one thing they just get is in-ring psychology in a way, which is weird, and I hate even bringing up that term because it sounds like such a smart fan, like in-ring psychology term, but it's true. And like, because I mean, you never even have to worry about that in mixed martial arts. You're just like, oh, my shoulder hurts, I can't use my shoulder anymore.
Yeah,
you have to do that in pro wrestling. And I think it worked great. I think the spot where Baszler's trying to relocate her arm, where she's like shoving it into the ring, I think that's genius.
Yeah.
And like, that's a legitimate way you can, like, as somebody that has seen people's shoulders pop out, like, that's a legitimate way to pop it back in. It looks stupid as all hell, especially if you're just like, why is she doing that? Her shoulders hurt. Why is she hurting it more? But that's like a legitimate way people do that.
Force it back in.
Yeah.
If she can't have anybody help her, so she's got like, I got to put it back in.
Yeah,
myself.
like I got to do it myself. And I think Ember looked great, and that was another person who got over big with the crowd we were watching was Ember Moon.
Yeah.
Like, like the whole the gimmick and everything. And obviously, Ember went off to greener pastures. Debuted on Raw, which we'll talk about that later. But I mean, overall, I think great segment. It actually went longer than I didn't realize watching it live. It went 15 minutes. Like, it felt incredibly short.
Yeah.
Just like that's like the whole theme for this show. Every match felt much shorter than it actually went.
Yeah, that's definitely definitely 2 hours.
Yeah, like it's insane. But I mean, overall, I enjoyed the match.
That's a great match.
Yeah,
I feel like it has to be the shortest match on the card.
Patrick, what if I told you it wasn't?
Roulette.
The triple threat tag team championship match for obviously the NXT Tag Team Championship and the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic Trophy. Undisputed Era of Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly versus the Authors of Pain versus Pete Dunne and Roderick Strong. So obviously this match also had the weird dynamic where, like, okay, Adam Cole just got done working a match 20 minutes ago. He had the taped up ribs, and he's out there replacing an injured Bobby Fish because Bobby exploded his knee. And it's weird because, like, they made this match for the Tag Team Championship and the finals of a tournament, and they're like, you're gonna win both.
Yeah, because at the finals it was Pete Dunne and Roderick Strong versus Authors of Pain, and they were having the match, and it was a pretty good one. And then Era came in and they interrupted the match, and Regal punished them. Like, okay, you got to work both matches. Cole. Yeah. Enjoy that.
Yeah, so Cole comes out there like limping, injured, which I thought was great. Obviously, got injured with like the North American Championship. Bobby Fish, I believe he was on crutches.
He came in. You saw him afterwards.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he was afterwards. And then Kyle's just doing goofy Kyle stuff, playing air guitar on the belt, whatever.
I did think it was funny how like he starts with his usual like attitude when he's playing the guitar, like the belt guitar. Then he stopped, just like, oh, Bobby's not here. And like Adam was hurt. I gotta get with it.
Yeah, it's so weird too because like Kyle was always one of those guys that like on the indies I was like, oh, he worked this serious, like I'm a
very serious
striker, and it's kind of funny to see as he's transitioned to a TV wrestler how he's like kind of I don't want to say steal because obviously Tanahashi didn't create the air guitar gimmick, or Hogan didn't either, but like he's kind of got this like, oh, I want to be more, have louder facial expressions and be more expressive with my hands and do that. I think that's especially, I mean, Kyle's not like old by any means, but for somebody that was on the, the independent circuit for that long and to be able to just adapt your style kind of seamlessly, like he's still this serious striker, but also he still does like kind of the goofy the sells.
Yeah, he is sort of like, even though it doesn't diminish his like capability or his threat, he's kind of like the comic relief to the group. He always has like, he's very animated in his expressions. He has like, if there's gonna have a funny spot in a match, he's gonna do it. Like in War Games, he went to hit one of the Authors of Pain, he missed, and the chair bounced it back, hit him in the face.
Mm-hmm, yeah, and like in this match, one of the Authors of Pain German suplexed him, and he like it looks like he no-sold the Germans. He's like, and then he just collapsed out of the ring. Like, I think that's
he goes to Hulk up and he just like immediately falls down.
Yeah. One thing that, like, I'm only 22. Like, it makes me feel old in this match. There's 3 people in this match within 2 years of my age. Yeah, because both Authors of Pain are like 23, 24. Yeah, Pete Dunne is 23. And then like
Cole's the oldest person in the match, or
I think it might be Roddy. Yeah, off the top of my head, it may be Roddy.
Yeah, I was going to say that because like I think Kyle is 1 year younger than me. I think he is 26 or he'll be 27, and Cole is 28.
Yeah, I think Roddy has to be in his 30s. He's been wrestling for fucking 18 years.
Yeah.
So
we didn't mention that Velveteen Dream is 22.
Yeah, Velveteen Dream is literally like 6 months older than me, which is absurd. Or Tyler Bates younger than I am.
He's 20.
Yeah.
He can't even drink, and he's having like 5-star matches.
Yeah, and don't even bring up. I mean, we'll talk about Nicholas later, but Nicholas is only 10. But I mean, this match, it went. This is the shortest match on the card. It went 11 minutes. Obviously, the big story of the match. I thought the match. First off, I thought the match was fine.
Yeah.
But then the whole match was building to the Roddy turn on Dunn to join Undisputed Era. How did that go over with you? Like, do you enjoy that, or are you like, that's kind of weird?
I was really surprised, like, because he had his go rounds with Era earlier in the year, or into last year, and they offered him a place and he turned them down, and then he's surprised, I'm joining anyway. But I don't know if that's like something they were always planning towards, or this is sort of a way to compensate for Bobby being injured. Mm-hmm. They had more in plan for Era and the tag team stuff, and it's kind of hard to do that when you only have 2 people. So bring Roddy in because he has a history with them. And out of everybody, it made most sense because you have like somebody out of the blues to start joining. Like, who's this person?
Yeah, like it's weird too because I feel like Roderick Strong had already kind of done everything you can do. Like, he's challenged for the NXT title multiple times, has lost multiple times. Obviously, he was challenging for the tag belts. He won those technically, but his team that he came in with didn't win those. And now they're doing like this weird Freebird style rule. I think if it wasn't Roderick, because I assumed they were going to add somebody to the group with Bobby being injured for 8-10 months, because I mean, that's a big chunk of TV time, especially in developmental. I figured if it wasn't going to be Roderick Strong, I figured it was going to be Cassius Ohno, just because like I feel like they like having that group be like, wow, we're the Ring of Honor guys, we're the Undisputed Era. So I feel like, I mean,
Dishonored. That was the name that was going around before they came out with Undisputed.
I remember Dishonored was going around, and then it's one of those things like Hero was really the only other guy to make sense, especially just because like I feel with Hero or Ohno, It feels like to me he's kind of not settled because obviously the dude worked his ass off for 20 years, but like he doesn't care if he goes up to the main roster. I think he likes helping the younger guys down in developmental. I think he likes having a coaching role, and the fact that he still gets to wrestle, makes a very good living, and has health insurance is probably a big plus. And he lives in Orlando now, just like all of those guys do. So I think that would have been a good fit for him, as him becoming like the new leader of Undisputed Era. But I think the Roddy move was a smart move. It made sense in the context of the match. I'm interested to see where they go now, because now you have another 3-man group, and really the only other 3-man group in NXT right now is Sanity.
Well, I was going to say I don't know how much of Access you heard, with Access being the live shows at WrestleMania, but apparently because during Access they had invitational matches for each of the championships. Yeah. And they had all these big matches and tournaments leading up to them. And the final of the tag team was Mustache Mountain versus Undisputed Era. And after the match over, Undisputed Era Mustache Mountain being Trent Seven and Tyler Bate. And then at the end, Pete Dunne rushes the ring and saves them. So British Strong Style in WWE?
I guess we're going to get British Strong Style, because it's so weird because they've always kept Dunn away. Like, they've always pushed Mustache Mountain, but at the same time, Bate and Dunn have been seen as like these rivals. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see how they pull off that dynamic in the mat or in the ring. I mean, I'm sure they'll be able to do a phenomenal job of it. I feel like with WWE programming, the regular NXT viewer probably has more indie, I say in air quotes, indie experience than like a regular Raw or regular SmackDown viewer. So I think if you do pull something like that off, it can happen on NXT TV. And yeah, I mean, you got to think now that's a lot of belts because you got the UK champion, the North American champion, and the tag titles. So like, there should be some like I wonder if they're gonna do like some weird thing where they like unify the UK and North American and just make like a television title, because at some point you're gonna have too many belts.
Yeah.
Even with like such a large roster, you're gonna have too many belts. I'm interested to see how they pull that off. But no, closing thoughts on the tag title match. It was good.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, but I think probably the weakest match on the card.
But still, still a good match.
Yeah, I mean, weakest match on a takeover 9 times out of 10 is still really good. So, take that. Next match, NXT Championship, Aleister Black versus Andrade Cien Almas, obviously with Selena Vega. Patrick, I know you're a big Aleister guy. I'm a big Almas guy. What did you think of this match as it became obvious that Aleister was winning?
To be honest, like as much as I love Aleister, like there's always moments in like these big championship matches where like even where you're rooting for your person, but there's like part of me is like, I still don't know if they're gonna win. They're still gonna pull that trigger and like make it a thing.
Yeah.
And then like he wins, and then you're just like, holy crap! Because like I will say, like our party that watched it, we did a collective flip when Aleister won.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like as amazing as this match was with all the big spots and all the close calls, like from what people I've seen online, people are kind of like glossing over it because just how stacked this card was. But as a match, it was great because like Andrade is like he's like top of his game. He's doing crazy things. Like when he moonsaulted off the ring post, and then when Aleister moved, he backflipped again and then landed on him. It's crazy. And plus, I did think it's very fitting that this match happened because Aleister debuted on the Takeover fighting Andrade, and now here he is
at WrestleMania weekend at NXT Orlando last year. So now a year later, they semi-main for the belt, and I think that's a really cool like year-long arc they've told with Aleister, because Aleister comes off on TV as like this unbeatable force. Like obviously he had all those like Aleister's whole shtick is that he kicks hard.
Yeah.
So like in wrestling, like in other terms, you're like you can't really build a character off somebody that kicks hard. In wrestling, you can build a hell of a character whose main trait is kicks hard.
And like the whole idea, like he's just very mercurial, cerebral, like a guy who's like has all this like dark imagery and like symbolism about him, but like he's more or less a face. I still don't know like how often they do tweeners, quote unquote, anymore. But like dark is not evil in Aleister's case, and Andrade and Selena Vega, they're just packaged now, and it's funny how they were hoisted by their own petard, and this one how like Selena kept doing her thing where she Hurricane Rana's interferes, but it backfired against him, and that's what caused Aleister to win.
And it's really interesting going back to like the whole tweener thing is like Aleister Black is like it's so weird. Like I remember years ago they were like, oh, we're gonna kill off babyface and heel, which obviously they haven't done. They still have pure baby faces, they still have pure heels, but there's definitely a lot more tweener like characters now than there was years ago. And it's one of those things that's funny is that Aleister Black is like a Satanist.
Yeah, like and not a bit. He's a legit Satanist, but he's like one of the nicest people you'll ever
like
meet.
An incredible guy and good. So it's just interesting, for a product that's pushed for kids, he's like, oh, I'm a Satanist, but also you're going to cheer for me, so who cares? And it's like, covered in tattoos. Not your stereotypical, vitamin taking John Cena Superman babyface. Like
you say your prayers, it's just they go down instead of
it's one of those things. It's an interesting dynamic. I love it. And it's so funny just to see like how his career has progressed in the last like 8 years alone, because he used to be just this skinny Dutch kid with no anything, no tattoos. Like there's a match online between him and Daniel Bryan from a WXW in an Ambition tournament, which is like a shoot style sort of thing. Like it focuses a lot more on grappling.
Yeah.
And like Bryan just tears them up. And now, like if you looked at the two side by side, you'd be like, that guy would kick Daniel Bryan's ass.
That was what I'm going to mention because like there was a period not so long ago where in his independent career he would take more losses than wins.
Yeah. No. Like. That's such a cool thing about like this crop of independent talent coming up, especially those that are getting close to the top. They're not afraid to take losses, which may circle back to a more important point of, do wins and losses really matter in professional wrestling? We don't have that much time on our hands today, but it's definitely one of those, conversations to be had.
Yeah, like the loss, like maybe segue into the next match when Johnny Gargano had like his losing streak. It played into the story.
Yeah,
just like, oh, you're just gonna job for this person this week.
Yeah,
but I will say I love Alistair. Finally, there's a big Al that I can root for.
That's great. That's great.
That's a local reference.
That's a local University of Alabama joke for all of you. Alistair Black is now the new mascot of the Crimson Tide.
Instead of a big elephant, we have a big Satanist.
Yeah, which fits in well with Alabama when you really think. No. So last match, main event of the card, unsanctioned match: Johnny Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa. If Gargano loses, he's gone from NXT still. If he won, he obviously got reinstated. This match went almost 40 minutes, and it feels about 11. It flies by.
Like, literally, my first thought was after this match was over, it's like, this match ruined my life.
Yeah,
because the story they tell, the bumps they take, everything about this match was staggering.
It's so crazy because I remember after watching Gargano Almas, I'm like, I've seen a lot of wrestling in my day, like thousands upon thousands of matches. I was like, Almas Gargano is the best match I've ever seen. I watched Ciampa Gargano. I was like, well, maybe not. Because Gargano having two of the best babyface performances, in my opinion, of all time, back-to-back major shows is just like, how do you even manage, especially with the gimmick attached, with the length, because, a lot of times a lot of people think like a hate-filled brawl shouldn't go, like if you were fighting your worst enemy, it wouldn't go 40 minutes.
Yeah,
it would end one way or another in about 2 or 3. And it's one of those things, like they dragged this out for 40 minutes. Like the spots they built to were just phenomenal. I do love how like literally probably one of the best matches in NXT history takes place, and the screen cap you see a lot of people capturing is when Johnny Gargano had Ciampa on the announce table, and like Ciampa had the huge ass and literally his whole ass,
his entire ass is just there for everybody to see.
It's like, well, gotta respect it, I guess. But I mean, this match, like, if you haven't watched it, I so highly recommend you go and watch this, because I mean, it's true. It's, to me, a pinnacle in storytelling in wrestling, especially in 2018, where we don't necessarily get that so much anymore. Like, this is about as good as it can get.
Like, just the build for this match has been amazing. How you have, Johnny and Ciampa, they were sort of just put together on a whim, and they built the story, of their friendship building, of like coming through the tag team, winning the championships,
getting signed together,
and then having their this big career together, and then the big failure, and then Ciampa turning on Johnny, like that takeover when that happened, I literally screamed.
Yeah, oh no, I did too. I for sure screamed. And it's one of those things, and like, you never wish for somebody to get injured, but for Ciampa to literally do that and be injured, it's like one of those things where like neither of them can survive without each other, but they both have to sort of situation. So obviously they wrote Gargano off for a few months. Ciampa was out for
10 months.
10 months, yeah, 10, 11 months, because that was the Takeover Chicago was in May, and they wrestled in April. So yeah, literally, 10 and a half, 11 months. And it's one of those things where it's like, you couldn't have wrote it that perfect.
Yeah, because like they adapted to Ciampa's injury perfectly.
Mm-hmm. And his injured knee literally played into the finish with the knee brace.
Yeah, and like it gave a logical reason for Johnny to like, well, my partner's gone now. I don't have a tag team. I got to be my own man again.
Yeah.
And he has this, single career that he builds back up in NXT, and then he has like his fall from grace where he has like this setback after setback, and then when he's finally poised to take the stage again and then reaches pinnacle, Ciampa comes back.
Yeah.
And just pulls the rug out from under him. And
yeah.
you're just like, God.
I mean, I would even recommend that Gargano's Ciampa's whole these past 10 and a half, like starting with the AOP ladder match at TakeOver Chicago and following Gargano's career from then until Ciampa comes back and then watching this match. I would suggest that to non-wrestling fans just because, like, that's how you write. That is how a story is written. That is how a story is told. Like, the way they've used social media has been genius because Gargano and Ciampa live together.
They shared a hotel. I mean, not hotel. They shared an apartment together.
Yeah.
And then they had, like, all these, just, like, fun, bromancy moments or just hanging out, being buds. And then after the turn, Ciampa just takes every opportunity he can to just twist that knife into Johnny's back even more on social media.
They legitimately moved out. Like, Ciampa legit moved out. Like, there was a commitment here. And, like, it's one of those things, like, going back to Gargano's single career after Ciampa was injured and after he just had it in mind, like, oh, my best friend turned on me.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't get it done. And, like, Zelina, I think, played a great part, and so did Andrade, played a great part where she would throw in a DIY shirt to Gargano, and he would just look at the DIY shirt, and, like, you just see this emotion sweep over his face.
Yeah.
He's just like, oh, my God, I can't do it. And then, obviously, Andrade beat him again, and beat him again. Until where he was forced to put his NXT career on the line. He lost that, and then
he lost it due to Ciampa coming back.
Yeah, he lost it due to Ciampa, and again with the crutch being such a moment with like when Ciampa came back at NXT San Antonio. That was the main thing, the crutch, and that's what Ciampa kept attacking Gargano with on TV was the crutch. Because it's really goes into like this, moment of symbolism where that crutch, you could say, represents Johnny Gargano. That Ciampa is using Gargano to attack him. Ciampa still needs Gargano to stand. I mean, the great thing about pro wrestling is that you could just convince yourself of about 100,000 things, and most of the time you're like, oh yeah, it makes sense. And this is one of those times where like also forming your own narrative around it truly increases its value to that next level. And I mean, I just think this match is a total masterclass.
Like, personally, I want like a DVD collection just like from Johnny and Ciampa's like introduction to NXT all the way up to this match.
Yeah.
I think because they just tell a wonderful story, and like I love both these two as wrestlers. And just like the real chemistry they have, the real life friendships they have, the real life antagonism they had, just all flow into this match.
Yeah.
And just to say, like, Ciampa's might be one of the few heel wrestlers in WWE that actually gets legitimately booed.
Yeah.
Because he came out 2 weeks straight to cut a promo, and then he couldn't say a word because the boos were so deafening.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where he's like, I don't really care what you think about me because I'm here for me, obviously. Like, I turned to my best friend. I'd never even cared about you people. And also, I think it had to be unintentional. Gargano's little symbol is like the closed eye and the open eye. Ciampa's one of his eyes gets black and swollen during the match. And literally there's a screen grab in the match where like one eye black and swollen closed, the other one wide open, and his mouth is just expressionless, and it looks just like Gargano's symbol.
Yeah.
And it's just like, how do you even think of this shit? It's like the closing stretch has the same movements as their CWC match 2 years ago.
Yeah, because like all these like in the mirrored moments from the San Antonio, like whenever Ciampa turned on him, like had the moment where kind of lifting one up, and then when they meet in the middle and in the center of the ring like they did in Cruiserweight, and then Johnny he has like this broken down crutch. He's ready to beat down Ciampa, and then he's like he takes a moment. It's like, if I do this, there's no going back for either of us.
Yeah, Gargano literally toward the finishing stretch of the match, Gargano literally sat down in like I am willing to forgive you. And it's just like, fuck.
and that's when you see the close up of like Ciampa's battered face, like his swollen eyes, like looking back up at Gargano, and it's just like, oh my god, I just want to hook this match to my veins.
Yeah, like I'm literally talking about it right now, and this literally does not happen with me. I'm getting chills.
Yeah, and like just to say nothing of that god tier video package, and and like just like this emotional summation of everything that's happened up to this point.
Yeah, no, I mean, just God, please do yourself a favor and go watch. Even if you're not even a big wrestling person, which first off, why are you listening to this? But like, you gotta go.
We hope this turns the tide.
This is essential viewing. The absolute essential
as a person, as a human being.
Yes, like
you need to watch this match.
Absolutely. So, Patrick, I want to get your take. NXT Takeover New Orleans. Was it the best takeover they've done yet?
This has to be the best takeover they've done yet, because it's like, I don't know how they keep topping themselves, but it's just shows the level of talent that's working there, and the people behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, just everybody's working together to just make an amazing show.
It's truly incredible, the stretch that NXT has been on takeover wise for the last 4 years. It's like, I mean, they, like you said, they keep one-upping themselves. They lose they lose a Sami Zayn, they lose a Kevin Owens, they replace them. They lose a Finn Balor, a Sasha Banks, a Bayley, they replace them. Like, it's such an incredible system that they have down there right now, where they're just like, they lose these star players, but then they just replace them with more star players.
They make new stars.
Yeah, like Velveteen Dream coming in, like he wasn't an indie star, like he was on fucking Tough Enough,
and then they turn him into a kick-ass Prince.
Yeah, like the Prince tribute gimmick, and it's literally one of the most over gimmicks, in the company right now.
I did want to say I really love that spot. We did the Death Valley Driver on that ladder bridge.
Oh yeah.
Plus he kept like missing his step. It's like, somebody's gonna die.
Yeah, somebody's about to get it. But I never thought a takeover for me would one up the takeover that the December 11th, 2014 takeover. I think it was Redemption. I can't remember, where it was Sami Zayn Neville, where Sami Zayn finally beats Neville for the NXT title, and then Kevin Owens is like helping Sami Zayn to the back, and then obviously Kevin Owens turns on Sami Zayn. Never thought a takeover would one up that one.
Yeah,
this takeover one up that one for me.
In terms of the level of matches, just to say, to not disparage anything that happened in Redemption, but just. It's just to another level. Just in terms of like skill on display and like the emotion involved, it's unparalleled at the moment for me. Yeah, no. So I mean, Takeover, go watch it. I mean, there's nothing else to be said. If you're listening to this, I assume you've watched Takeover, which good on you, because it's truly an incredible, probably one of the best shows WWE will put on this year. Maybe one of the best shows any wrestling company will put on this year, just from an emotional and storytelling standpoint. So Patrick, speaking of emotional, the 7 hour and 10-minute spectacle that was WrestleMania. We are going to do a minute-by-minute breakdown of WrestleMania 34. We're going to actually have a live commentary feed of WrestleMania starting now.
Yeah.
Because you definitely experienced a gamut of emotions from top to bottom, everything in between. Everything in between.
It was... Like, I was telling Colt about it on Tuesday, because he was like, how much wrestling did you watch this weekend? I was like, well, WrestleMania alone was 7 hours. And he was like, what? He was like, you're kidding, right? I was like, no, it was 7 fucking hours.
That was one show. That was 7.
One show. And he was like, how? And let me tell you.
We're going to go down.
Yeah. It's insane. Obviously, the first match, the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, whatever, I feel like not much needs to be said about that. It was probably one of the most boring battle royals I've ever seen in my life.
I feel like battle royals, like the Andre battle royals, had like more story spots. Mm-hmm. And what this one we had, they had R-Truth coming back and then getting betrayed again by Goldust, and then Ty Dillinger and Matt Hardy doing their delete 10 thing.
Yeah.
And then Brady coming in
and helping
good Brave.
Yeah.
Coming in to help save Matt and help him win.
Yeah. I mean, it went way too long. It went like 16 minutes. Skip it, please. to save yourself. Like Matt Hardy winning's kind of a cool like lifetime achievement award just for Matt, who's been wrestling since probably before I was born.
He's what? 30?
Well, I mean, he's been doing I mean, him and Jeff, started Omega in like 90.
They were like preteens when they started.
Yeah,
wrestling.
I mean, they were literally like 12 and 13 when they started. I mean, the first time Jeff Hardy was on WWF television, I think he was 16.
I feel like even then he lied about his age.
No, they for sure did. Like it was kind of like the Bucks. I think the Bucks worked a squash match on WWE television years ago, and one of them had to lie about their age. Nick had to lie about his age. He was like, "Yeah, I'm 18."
Yeah,
and which you would think for a multi-billion-dollar company they would like fact check that. But no,
I guess if it's just bringing in somebody to get like stepped on, it's like they'll bring in like somebody off the street.
Yeah.
I will say we were like our party that watched it. We were so relieved when Ziggler finally got eliminated because he kept skinning the cat like a million times. Yeah. Like, you're not Shawn Michaels. You tried for 10 years. Please stop.
I was scared. God, I don't even want to talk about Ziggler, but God, what a fall from grace just to like he had these great matches years ago. And then like fell off, and then the Miz program he had on SmackDown in 2016 was phenomenal, and then he just falls down again. And like I don't think anybody's ever had such a high in their career and such a low in their career as
just
Dolph
like
Ziggler.
Constant peaks and valleys.
Yeah, it's incredible. But so moving on from that match, Cedric Alexander versus Mustafa Ali for the vacant WWE Cruiserweight title. Pat, I know you love both of these pure boys, as do I.
Yes, they're very pure. Both of them are.
How did you feel about Alexander Ali?
I thought it was a good match. It just bummed me to hell out that they were giving it just a short change moment, and then like the match is good for what they were able to give in the time slot. Very emotional, especially right toward the end because obviously they're both friends in real life, and then the story they're telling. And then Ali goes for his finisher, and Cedric overpowers and beats him. And when Cedric pins Ali, he just kind of cradles his lifeless head, and just buries his face in the chest, like I won, but I'm so sorry I had to do this to you. I thought it was great. It's emotional, and but I just wish they treated them better.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I like Ali Alexander getting the rub of. Okay, you guys were really the first. They were the first main event after he who must not be named got fired, and absolutely fucking killed it. So I think it's really cool for them to get their WrestleMania moment. Luckily, there was a lot of people in the Superdome by the time their match went on because it went on about 45 minutes before the pre-show. So there was a large crowd in there already.
Yeah.
I also personally, just for the sake of, even if they were the opener, just for the sake of saying we were on the main WrestleMania card, I think would have been a good selling point for 205 Live especially. I'm glad Alexander won, especially because I think Alexander was supposed to win probably at the Royal Rumble, and then obviously didn't because they vacated the title.
Yeah, like he's like it seems pretty obvious that he's had this push and upward trajectory for a long time now. Yeah. And even though I feel like Mustafa really like pulled over like a lot of fans in terms of like his own self-produced promotionals and just his own sort of in-ring storytelling and just like his own story. I feel like Cedric, he's had all this waiting for him anyway.
Yeah,
and Mustafa's time will come.
Yeah, it's
just I'm pissed. I'm still pissed that they ran a goddamn ad in the middle of the match. It completely killed the flow of the match.
Yeah, it's so weird too because like you feel like a bad person for like rooting for one person in the match over another just because like coming in they're both like from rags to riches stories for both of them. They both have 3-year-old children. Like a lot of parallels with their stories, and so like it's interesting that because WWE really doesn't run very good guy versus very good guy matches often, especially for the stakes like that.
Yeah,
and especially for two wrestlers that get such positive reactions like Ali Alexander. I mean, obviously they probably looked at Roman Reigns versus John Cena as like good guy versus good guy. Roman Reigns doesn't get the good guy reactions. It's just fact of the matter. But Alexander Ali gets the good guy reaction. So it's interesting that like even like if they did a punch exchange, it'd be like yay, yay, yay instead of the yeah, boo, yeah, boo. It's like the yeah, yeah, yeah. It just keep and I mean, I think it came across great. I wish they would have got a few more minutes, but at the same time, I think they did great with what they did have. I think 205 Live is going to benefit now with there actually being a champion, because now it gives you a chance to actually build some characters outside of, Drew Gulak, who I think has the best gimmick in wrestling right now.
Yeah.
On top of being a phenomenal wrestler. So I'm interested. I'm really happy to see Alexander win. I agree with you. I think Ali will get his time, obviously, just like I think those guys are like the unsung heroes, because they're like, they got, 205 Live got shit on for a year.
Yeah.
And then especially when, they put him on top, it's like, oh, so they're not even taking this seriously now. And now it's like, oh, hey, we can be taken serious.
Yeah. That's the one thing. Like, if you're a wrestling fan and you watch WWE, I would just encourage you to watch 205 Live, because it
has improved so much in the last 2.5 months. It's unreal. It's been I would say the story of the year is the turnaround 205 Live did literally immediately after they got rid of Enzo.
Because I've watched since its inception, and I've seen the middling beginning, the trouble they had, and just fighting the crowd every week, and dealing with the dark ages with who,
yeah,
and then their big claim to fame now with their soft reboot. And the cruiserweights, they're a great bunch of guys, champions that turn chicken shit into chicken salad.
Yeah,
they work their ass off every single week, and they're great guys, and I really think they deserve all the eyeballs they can get.
Yeah, absolutely. I think all of those 205 guys are just like, even like, not even talking from a wrestling standpoint, just like people that I know that know some of them are just like, they're great guys. Like the interactions I've had with a few of them, they're phenomenal people. I wish them nothing but success, and I hope this is the start of their success. Mm-hmm. So moving on to the Wikipedia has it listed as 20 women, but I didn't realize there was 20 exactly. 20 woman battle royal for the WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal Trophy. If I were to given you 5 guesses, would you have guessed that Naomi was going to win this match?
I would not.
I would not have. I thought this match was for sure Sasha or Bayley's.
Yeah, I'm definitely not complaining. Naomi,
I'm not either.
It's you had like this whole story with Sasha and Bayley they told up to this point, and they had their little back and forth at different points in the match. And you think Bayley wins, and then, like, surprise, there's Naomi.
Naomi comes in. In this match, there was already a little controversy around this match. Obviously, at first being named after Fabulous Moolah, who has a fucking mile-long list of allegations listed against her. Deceased now. She's dead now. But, like all these rumors and stories about all this stuff. So they changed it last minute to just the Women's Battle Royal. And the trophy, I swear to God, looks like a uterus.
I promise you, this is what my friend brought up, but I echo his sentiment, that the reason why the trophy looks not a lie, looks like a uterus is because this is like Vince McMahon's like petty revenge for being thwarted for calling it the Fabulous Moolah.
It's very. The thing is, even if that's true, it wouldn't even surprise me just because of all the insane, like, old man shit Vince has done since like his 40s. So, like, it literally would not surprise me. But it's uncanny, and the fact that they changed it because of Snickers is still to me like, it wasn't because of fan backlash. It's because Snickers was like, we don't want our name associated with somebody accused of all those things, so you're gonna have to change it. Which I don't know. Thank you, Snickers. But yeah,
but the fans, I feel like the fan people's telling Snickers about it.
Oh no, I think that's for sure what brought it to Snickers' attention. Yes.
Yeah. It's like, if you want something to change, hit him in the pocketbook.
Yeah. Just anytime you want any wrestling thing changed, tweet to Snickers.
Yeah.
On Twitter. But it's one of those things. I thought Bayley had it. It was weird. I was watching it live, and like Bayley eliminated Sasha. I'm like, why aren't they ringing the bell? And they were like, oh my God, it's Naomi. And it's like I thought she'd just already been eliminated.
Yeah,
and I was
so there are people who got eliminated that I didn't see go out.
Yeah, like Kairi Sane. Like we didn't even mention there were 6 NXT woman wrestlers in this match, and they all did a great job, I think.
Yeah, they had a moment they're all like chanting near, like, NXT.
Yeah, which was really cool. And yeah, it was a battle royal. God, 1,000 million years better than the Andre. For sure. I kind of hope, on one hand, I would rather see women get singles match or at least match opportunities, but I also realize that there's just so many people on the roster now that's not plausible. I hope they continue
to get more singles, like outside of the championship, they have like special single matches.
Yeah, to have special singles matches. But I also hope they continue the Battle Royal just so everybody can get on the Mania card. Like if they don't have a singles match, because I think, and we'll get to it at the end, but I think next year is really going to be the next 12 months is going to be a weird turning point for women's wrestling in WWE, but we'll talk about that in a second.
One last thing on the Battle Royal. What I would wish they would implement with the Royal winners is like give them some kind of title shot, because at this point it's kind of just like, hey, this is the thing you win.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, that's the thing that I've complained about the Andre forever. Like, look at the people that have won the Andre. Cesaro won the Andre. Nothing really happened for you. I mean, obviously he became, tag champs, but that was years later with another freaking person. Big Show win. I get why Big Show wins a Lifetime Achievement Award. I get that. Baron Corbin debuts. Nothing happens with him. When he debuted and won the Andre. Nothing happens. Mojo won it last year. By last eliminating Jinder. Jinder becomes world champion. Nothing happens with Mojo. And this year Matt Hardy wins it, who I assume is him and Bray are probably going to win the tag titles in Saudi Arabia, if I had to guess. So
plus, like, Matt's already achieved so much in his life. This is just another accolade.
Yeah, for sure. It would be like Jericho winning the Rumble. It's just like to have it on the list. But yeah, I wish they would tie, and plus that would give a nice feed into like the next pay-per-views stories. It's like, obviously don't make the Andre for like a world title shot. That'd be ridiculous.
But at least a mid-card, like help elevate people who maybe haven't got a spotlight before.
Yeah.
And just sort of instigate a fresh rotation of people.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can have somebody come up and get a mid-card shot like Ty or Breeze or Fandango or any one of them.
Yeah, like and it's not out of place. That's what I loved about the John Cena United States Challenge so much, is like you had guys that never challenged for the US belt challenging for the US belt. Hello, we're back. Sorry for that. Just the weird little technical hiccup. You wouldn't even understand it if I told you, because I don't even understand it, and I was told it. So let's just move on. WrestleMania main card. First match, triple threat for the WWE Intercontinental Championship. Seth Rollins versus The Miz versus Finn Balor. First, I want to say all three of them had great entrances.
Yes.
You had Seth Rollins coming out as the, I don't know Game of Thrones terminology.
He had like his usual like fire with his burn it down. Then he came out as Game of Thrones inspired, like White Walker, had like snow and like had like blue contacts in, like like the White Walkers, like those snow zombies.
Yeah. The Miz comes out looking like Hollywood Hokage, is what I saw it called a lot on Twitter, where it was like he was literally, his headband he was wearing looked like some fucking Leaf Village shit, and I was like, this is so my aesthetic. Like, Miz is obviously already one of my favorite superstars, but he's aiming for that number one spot. And then Finn Balor comes out at first. I'm like, oh, this is kind of a weird entrance, and then he's surrounded by,
he had this like a black, his usual outfit is just color black. He's like, oh wow, this is kind of drab. Then camera pulls out and you see all these people crowd in wearing his LGBTQ t-shirt. Finn Balor Clubs for everybody. And then there's actually people in Florida, and they're like
Louisiana,
actual LGBTQ people. And they're all like cheering him. And what was cool, I didn't notice it the first time, but every time he did his little arms up moment, the Balor logo had changed from black to white letters on black background to rainbow letters on white background.
Oh, I didn't even realize that. That's cool. But I mean, like, I love that. It's like sending a message like that on such a large platform, especially in wrestling, which for some reason a lot of people is like, it's a very white straight man dominated sport, which is funny when you think about it, because the whole basis of wrestling is two dudes in their underwear touching each other a lot.
It's like, so there's a lot of homoeroticism. You can't have
it's like, we can't have gay people in our wrestling, but I'm like, do you not see the irony there? No? Okay. But no, the match itself, probably one of the stronger matches on the whole fucking card.
Yeah, to me, the Intercontinental match is my second favorite match.
Yeah, I mean it was great. Tons of near falls, got the crowd just as hot as as he needed. Went 15 minutes, which I think is a great length for a WrestleMania opener. Seth Rollins, though, talking about Rollins for a second, has been on fire this year. Like, he may be the best wrestler in the world in 2018, which is something I never thought I would say, because I've never really been that big on, like, I've always liked Rollins, I've always respected Rollins, but this year he has just turned it up on another whole level.
Because like even like I think on the go home Raw, like he and Balor had like a really good match.
Yeah. And then, like, he went over an hour in the gauntlet match.
Yeah,
before Elimination
I forgot
Chamber.
about that.
Yeah, like, that happened. Like, he wrestled for, like, 65 minutes on a 3-hour program in a row. That's absurd. And not to mention, who he wrestled Cena and who else he wrestled? Roman Reigns in, like, 2 30-minute matches. And, like, incredible. And honestly, I think a big part of the appeal is, and, like, a lot of people have noticed it, he's obviously putting more oomph into his work, is him getting to do the curb stomp again.
Yeah.
Like, personally, I get why they took it away for multiple reasons, but God, it's such a cool fucking move.
Yeah.
Like, it's like the RKO in the sense it can come from out of nowhere, but also not, because it looks about 20 times more painful than the RKO.
It's like very devastating.
Yeah.
And like, because like that was like the finisher he was known for. That's what he had. People knew him to do, and then he finally gets his baby back, and he's just been letting go with it.
Yeah, literally been like on fire all year, so I think the burn it down is kind of, appropriate. And then, like, not taking away anything from Balor and Miz, 'cause I think they both also had great performances, but this was the Seth Rollins show. Obviously, Seth Rollins wins the match, becomes the last Shield member to become a Grand Slam champion, which is, considering the Shield debuted on WWE television less than 6 years ago, and at this point all 3 of them have been Grand Slam champions, which, if you don't know what a Grand Slam champion, you've won both mid-card titles, a tag title, and the world title. So the fact that all 3 of them have done that in less than 6 years is incredible. Like I remember, like, especially, I mean, Seth Rollins on the indie circuit, Tyler Black was just kind of like this Midwestern, like, punk rock kid.
Yeah.
Dean Ambrose, he wrestled in fucking death matches for the majority of his career, and then Roman Reigns is a WWE system guy. So it's
3 very different trajectories, and all have led to like enormous success.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Become like arguably probably the 3 biggest stars to come out of, when you think of the WWE's 2010s. If I tell you to name the 3 biggest stars, you would probably name Rollins, Ambrose, and Reigns in some order. Like, because I obviously Daniel Bryan has his, the highs, but he also missed 2.5 years out of the ring.
Yeah.
3 years out of the ring. So it's one of those things where, like, you kind of have to take that into account. But no, great match. Perfect match to get the crowd hot. And then we roll right into the next match.
I did want to say that.
Go ahead.
There's a nice little Rollinsism when he won the title. He's swinging above his head.
Oh yeah, he does the helicopter. That's my favorite thing. Like, because I like, it's so weird when people do that. I think about their hands. I'm like, man, you have to have some fucking coordination going on to pull that off. Because, like, I know just like twirling a pencil in my finger sometimes, I'm like, oh fuck, can't do that. I can't imagine taking like a 12, 15, 18 pound belt and then just going and like helicoptering it over your head.
Like one day you spin it just goes flying and kills somebody.
Yeah, like your hands are sweaty after you wrestle. Like, how does that shit just not like hit somebody in the crowd? I mean, Brock Lesnar has hit a kid in the crowd with the car door before. So like, how do you not let go of the belt? Anyways, going on to the next match for the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship, Charlotte Flair versus Asuka. I think we have a little bit to unpack with this match, because obviously a lot is. Asuka comes in with her undefeated streak in NXT, WWE, whatever, hasn't been pinned, submitted, anything in close to 3 years since she's been signed.
Basically since she signed with the company.
Well, yeah, since she's been signed. I couldn't remember an exact date. And then, obviously, Charlotte comes in, SmackDown Women's Champ. Obviously, the franchise, the the face they want to put on the posters, Charlotte, obviously, being Ric Flair's. Triple H is a Ric Flair guy, not taking anything away from Charlotte because she's an incredible athlete. But, Sasha, Bayley, Becky, 4 horsewomen.
She has a very, very strong pedigree.
Yeah. Boom. Gotcha. And like Asuka coming in, won the first women's battle or Royal Rumble. I almost said Battle Royal. Royal Rumble. So how do you feel about the booking of this match?
What I will say is that I feel like, just my opinion, I do feel like people would put maybe the emphasis on the wrong thing. Mm-hmm. Because I personally, while disappointed that Asuka lost her had her streak broken and lost the match. Honestly, this match is my favorite match on the card.
Yeah, mine too.
And I thought it was great, and just the camaraderie, like just the battle they put each other through, and the camaraderie and the sportsmanship at the end was like wonderful and touching, and like I thought it was just fantastic to just see like they beat each other to hell, and they embraced each other, and it was fantastic. Like when Asuka goes to congratulate, she doesn't even get to finish, but Charlotte just rushes in and hugs her. Mm-hmm. And there's an interview I saw that it did with Charlotte afterwards that I thought was just very emotional. Yeah. That Charlotte said, I wanted to be the best Charlotte I could for Asuka. Mm-hmm. And which is also, side note, I didn't realize Asuka was a mother.
Okay. A lot of people didn't realize that. As in, like, so Asuka retired from the ring for about 10 or 11 months in like 06, 07. And literally Charlotte saying that was the first time people were like, oh, she went off and got pregnant and had a kid. That's why she retired for 11 months. So like Asuka has like this 10 or 11-year-old kid and married, I believe.
Yeah, she said wife and mother.
A lot of people didn't realize that, which is like also the weird thing about wrestling where like wrestlers, if they keep their lives private, they keep their fucking lives private. You don't know jack shit.
Yeah, like there's plenty of people that I had no idea had kids, had wives. Like I didn't realize that Xavier Woods was married, Sami Zayn was married. Like they're very good at keeping their professional and private lives separate.
No, absolutely, which is probably important to do.
Yeah,
and especially in something that's seen by millions of people every week. But going back to the Charlotte Asuka match, I was in the camp, and I realized a lot of people on Twitter that I asked about this was also in the camp where a lot of people thought Asuka maybe should have lost her streak sooner. Like, maybe to Ember Moon in NXT.
Yeah.
Because, like, I don't want to say burdened with it, but she was kind of been burdened with it on the main roster since she's came to the main roster, just because, I mean, you kind of know that, like, she ain't dropping that shit on TV. So you pretty much boiled it down to TV, or to pay-per-views. And she's wrestled on, like, 4 or 5 pay-per-views at this point. So it's like, you knew it was eventually coming. And I agree with you. I wish people wouldn't like sulk on the fact like, man, I can't believe she lost to Charlotte. Like, I would much rather her lose to Charlotte than pretty much like, because Charlotte has the accomplishments. Obviously this is something that will be shown in Charlotte's like when she's inducted into the Hall of Fame, which is will happen one day. It would be like she broke Asuka's streak. It's like one of those things where your kind of resume. Like, you're adding to your resume just because at that point. But at the same time, it's like, I'd rather her lose to Charlotte than like 90% of the other women on the roster, because at least that kind of makes sense.
It seems like it would be a believable opponent for her to lose against.
Yeah.
And plus, like, I feel like the same people who are complaining that she lost her streak are the same people who are saying like, oh yeah, Carmella's going to come in and cash on Asuka when she wins.
Exactly.
And how much more upsetting would that be?
Yeah, like and I like Carmella, but like a lot of people would have been pissed if Carmella was the one to end Asuka's streak, like via Money in the Bank cash in. Like that would have been insane.
And plus, I will say I did have an interesting view on this WrestleMania in terms of the women's matches, because I follow several wrestling fans and several wrestling artists, and predominantly they're women or queer or both. And I can guarantee you, even though a lot of them weren't happy with the outcome, it was 99% positive and glowing. And I feel like everybody who's complaining about it, they seem like mostly dudes, and they seem like the streak completely ruined the match for them.
Yeah,
which I think is absurd.
Yeah,
because that match was amazing.
No, it was I mean, again, I think we both agree it's probably the match of the night.
Yeah.
Charlotte busted out new shit. Asuka busted out new. Charlotte doing that Spanish fly off the rope is insane, especially for somebody as tall as she is.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, Charlotte's I would say an easy 5'11", 6 foot.
She's got to be at least 6
At least. I mean, she got legs for days. That woman's tall.
And God, like it's just a great match. And like Charlotte's entrance was pretty sick.
Oh yeah,
when she came out to like gold and just spoke Zarathustra and referencing like WrestleMania 30 when she was one of Triple H's Golden Girls.
Yeah,
and then like she had all these golden gladiators with them. It was an amazing. And then Asuka had that VR shit going on.
It reminded me a lot of Vaporwave for some reason, because it was like kind of shoddily done, but not shoddily done, like 3D graphics, Asuka mask, and it's just like, okay, I can appreciate that, but also
the effort.
Yeah, I did a lot of effort for just the live viewer at home. But I digress. It was cool, but yeah, great match. Obviously, go see it. Probably one of the top matches of the weekend for me personally.
Definitely.
Yeah. Speaking of matches of the weekend, Fatal 4-Way for the WWE United States Championship. Jinder Mahal versus Randy Orton versus Bobby Roode versus Rusev. What a weird ass booked match. So if let me give a little background, because I think we're both going to have a lot to say on this. The match was originally just going to be Jinder Mahal versus Randy Orton versus Bobby Roode. Rusev's whole shtick with the Rusev Day got so over, he literally last minute gets added to the match.
Because he's not only is it just like the chance on every show, but like his merchandise is way up with the Rusev Day shirt.
Yeah, the Rusev Day shirt is literally, I think, for the last couple of weeks has been like the number 1 or number 2 selling item on WWE Shop, which is again insane for a guy that is sometimes not even on TV.
Yeah,
just because they don't push him that much, and they booked the match. And Patrick, just run us through this.
Like to me, it just seems like this perfect storm of just weird shit.
Yeah, that's the perfect way to describe it.
Because they had all their entrances, like everybody, Randy comes out, he's the champion. Bobby comes out, does his glorious shtick. Jinder comes out in his dress, Indian uniform, and then his fucking head piece falls off, and he tries to play it off, and just oh, that's a Botchamania moment. And then Rusev comes out, but he has his Shakespeare song.
Yeah.
Aiden English comes out, who apparently got a haircut within the hour he was on TV at the Royal Rumble.
Got a shaved head.
His whole ass head is shaved, and he does his singing, and he's just like, he cut his hair backstage. What happened there? Yeah. And Rusev comes out.
I was hoping for the tank.
They just bring out the tank.
I was hoping he would go on a tank again.
And so this, honestly, I forgot this match when I was putting my list together from my own memory, and I was like, oh yeah, that's Matt Hatcham. And then nothing really happened. It's kind of just this and that all together, and then the Rusev's in the ring and he gets the Rusev Day chant, and then he gets hit by the most devastating finisher in WWE.
Yeah,
the Singh brother distraction followed by the Colossus.
Yeah, it's devastating. New Japan, you can keep your Rainmaker. This is where it's at. It's so bizarre to me how Rusev is a last-minute addition to the match, and not only does he not win, because I thought it was be like, oh, they're going to give the title to Rusev.
Exactly,
obviously,
I thought.
With him being so over, him being really the only true babyface in the match, because, people like Bobby Roode, people like Randy Orton enough. Jinder, obviously, is hated in front of New Orleans, is just fact. And also a terrible wrestler, but so is Orton. It's
Orton has the ability of being a terrible person and a really boring wrestler.
Orton hits that nice Venn diagram cross section where it's like terrible person, terrible wrestler. He's right there in the middle. It's
at least Jinder Mahal's nice outside.
Yeah, Jinder, great human being. But this Rusev's moment, and then the fact that he gets pinned. How do you mess up that? That was in my opinion, the first of many weird booking decisions. A lot of people would say the first weird booking decision of the night was Asuka losing her streak. I think that's fine, personally.
Yeah, because just going to the Austin, after a certain point, undisputed streaks become really awkward and unmanageable, and just
exactly.
They're nice to have, but sooner or later you just gotta have to deal with it. But with this match, it's it was of all the matches on the card, it was definitely one of them.
Yeah, no, for sure. Out of the 7 hours and 10 minutes, this was definitely 8 minutes.
Yeah, it was the cool down match.
Yeah, for sure. So up next, the mixed tag team match: Kurt Angle and the debuting Ronda Rousey versus Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. Honestly, not bad. Not near as bad as I thought it was going to be. I thought everybody was going to be a train wreck in that match.
It was much better than anybody thought it was going to be.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where Ronda, huge piece of shit human being.
Just in case you didn't know, she hates trans people, and she doesn't think the Sandy Hook match shooting happened. Thought it was fate.
That's true. just a terrible human being in all regards. So really, from an in-ring perspective, she did do a lot better than I thought she was. Just from seeing the footage of her doing dark segments, I thought she was going to be trash.
Yeah,
and she wasn't. She she had her moments, but personally, I hope what comes out of this match and the mixed match challenge by default is I kind of hope it allows WWE to kind of open up that barrier between intergender wrestling more. Yeah. And I hope for them, it allows them to have like more moments like that where like, I know last year on SmackDown especially was a huge problem. Like Charlotte would be champion and then like some guy would just come out and interrupt her. And like, why wouldn't Charlotte whoop that guy's ass? Like
that was one thing that bugged me about the one thing that did bug me about the Charlotte Asuka match is that Asuka's walking down the ring and Charlotte's walking down to the entrance and then Asuka's still in the ring. They're kind of just like sharing a moment across the ring. And then like John Cena gets up and runs.
Yeah,
he's like, Undertaker's here. I gotta go.
Yeah,
it's
the
you're gonna
meme.
do this right now, Cena.
Yeah, the meme of the show, obviously John Cena running up the ramp. So I hope that does happen, and I'm interested to see what they do with Ronda next, just because now she's seen as being on par from an athletic standpoint with Triple H, who in WWE lore is like the best outside of John Cena. So, and also she broke Stephanie McMahon's arm twice or something.
She broke it on WrestleMania and she broke it again
on Raw. So it's like, what do you even do with her next? Because like it's going to allow WWE to kind of elevate their women as a whole. Because I honestly think if you ask me right now what main event's WrestleMania 35, I think it's Charlotte versus Ronda.
That's what I was thinking. Because like you have what Charlotte's accolades up to this point, won every women's title in WWE, defeated Asuka, and I feel like that's probably what it goes to next. Like, I feel like that match is coming, whether or not it's next year or but I feel like that match is coming. Yeah. For better or for worse.
Yeah, which I think is cool. Like the fact that we're even realistically talking that a women's match could main event WrestleMania and not WrestleMania 35 is incredible. Just because 4 years ago there wasn't a women's match on the main card.
Yeah,
like up until a couple of years ago, and then you have these crop of NXT girls, and then it brings up all the main roster girls that are still there, like Naomi and Natalya and stuff. And it really opened up a whole new door, and now you have like women's wrestlers. They've main evented pay-per-views, main evented multiple episodes of TV, both Raw and SmackDown.
It's gotten best match of the year.
Yeah, best match of the year in NXT and WWE. And then again with I think Charlotte, Sasha, Bayley, and Becky, just based on all of their merits and all of the credit that they deserve, are all first ballot Hall of Famers in WWE's weird ass Hall of Fame logic. But like for just the reality of pro wrestling, I think that they've allowed to open up doors never seen on television before with women's wrestlers, which I think is really cool. So I hope that's what we get from this, not just Ronda breaking everybody's arm.
Yeah, just like the elevation of women in general in the company and their skill, showcasing their skills, and also maybe opening the door for intergender, because like NXT flirted with intergender with like
the Candice and Ciampa stuff, and Zelina, of course.
I guess like that was a gag, like, or because I've been hearing a lot of talk about this Candice and Ciampa bit. Like, was that just because like way back when Ciampa beat up Johnny, that he thought Candice was going to step in and whoop his ass?
Oh yeah, no, nothing's happened. That's just like the bit right now. Like a lot of people think Candice is going to try to fight Ciampa, or Ciampa's going to attack Candice. But then, also in NXT, you have Zelina, like her karate guys, and Nikki Cross.
She jumped on Adam Cole's back.
Yeah,
like she like.
Yeah, and like Nikki Cross has been like sent through tables and stuff. So like it's slowly being broken down. Like you can't do it all at once. Because I can see how that could be a shock, especially to a newer viewer,
or especially to like a very restrictive upper management, more so than anybody.
Yeah, absolutely, and like obviously, you have to work within the confines of TV contracts as well. So, but I think it's a great first step, or we're not even at a great third step, great fourth step. I think the women having a Royal Rumble and an Elimination Chamber this year, obviously, that opens up all new doors. Like seeing, like, finally I think management is seeing women at the same athletic level as the men.
Yeah.
Which 5 years ago would have been unheard of. Because 5 years ago you had like Snooki wrestling at WrestleMania, like, or it was one of the fairly recent WrestleManias, like Snooki wrestled, and probably was like the best woman to ever wrestle on WrestleMania at that point, just because like all of the women wrestlers they used to hire, they were like, oh, you're pretty, we'll hire you. But, oh, I can't wrestle. Well, that's fine. We'll make it work. So it's one of those things that's cool now that they actually have legitimate women's wrestlers, and like obviously had a great coaching staff in NXT, and just them being naturally talented is a great step for them. So up next, the triple threat tag team match for the WWE SmackDown Tag Team Championship. The Bludgeon Brothers, which is Harper and Rowan. I didn't realize they dropped their first names.
Is it apparently like you only have one name? Either you drop your first or your last.
Yeah, it would be so great if the tag was just fucking Luke and Eric. That'd be so good. Versus the Usos versus the New Day, which was Big E and Kofi in this match. Pretty much a squash match. It went 5 minutes maybe, and I mean it was the Bludgeon Brothers show. They destroyed it's funny, like after the Usos and New Day have like this tag team defining feud on TV last year into this year, like if you want to establish a new tag team, have them destroy your two top tag teams, and that's what they did with the Bludgeon Brothers, which is good. I've always liked Rowan. I've always liked Harper. I've liked Harper for years, matter of fact. So it's cool to see them get like that WrestleMania moment and them walking away with the tag titles. I mean,
yeah, I do feel like we'll have to touch on New Day's entrance to this match.
Oh yeah, no, the New Day's entrance in this match was, I mean, absolutely incredible with the pancakes. They
had their little VR with a rainbow stretched across two stacks of pancakes.
Which I want to be honest, at first I thought it was like an inflatable until I saw it was levitating off the ground. I'm like, oh, okay.
And then they come out, the New Day themselves come out, and then Xavier plays the Dragon Zord tune on his trombone, and then little people dressed as stacks of pancakes come hobbling out and jumping around. And,
literal short stacks, like they start doing the worm. It's fucking bizarre. Like if you see that gif in a non-wrestling context, even in a wrestling context it's weird, but in a non-wrestling context it's like, what the whole fuck is going on?
And I don't know if you noticed, but on the New Day's attire, they had like they had the Saitama OK face, but it was just them.
Oh no, I didn't realize
on their individual outfits.
Oh man, that's incredible. I wish, and I realized, because they cosplayed as Black Panther characters recently at a con. Yeah. I wish they could have got the licensing rights for that, because I think that would have been incredible.
Well, Cedric, he did dress as Black Panther.
Yeah, Cedric had his little Black Panther attire, and I couldn't really tell who Mustafa. I couldn't tell if Mustafa Ali was going for like a Bucky vibe.
Well, actually, I think it was supposed to be Sub-Zero, Iron Man.
Or Iron Man.
But the mask threw people off.
Yeah, the mask was weird.
Which some people even said Blue Lantern.
Yeah, which... Okay. But there's a lot of people don't realize most wrestlers, huge nerds. So there's going to be some... I mean, fucking 1 year, New Day came out dressed up like Saiyans.
And then I think another pay-per-view, they were dressed up as Red Lanterns.
Yeah, they were dressed up as Red Lanterns on one show. So it's just one of those things. But the tag title match, just kind of there. I mean, it was a fine match, but it was so short. It never really got the chance to get going. And then Bludgeon Brothers just kind of destroyed everybody.
Yeah, like they had their upper mobility. What... Like future fantasy booking, I want Breezango, Fashion the Police, to take the titles from it, because that's where the Bludgeon Brothers were kind of introduced, with heckling them, and then like that'd be a nice turnaround, however likely it is.
It'd also be great if a whole wrestling feud was built off the fact that the Fashion Police were like, leather's out, guys. It's like, we're not doing leather anymore. And like that was a whole like multi-month long feud just because of the Bludgeon Brothers refusing to wear anything but leather. It'd actually be really fucking good. Now I'm down for it. Up next, the most anticipated match on the card: Undertaker versus John Cena. What a weird thing that was. So to set up the match, at first John Cena goes out, and then it gets dark, and then you hear, "Hi, my name's Elias." It did like the guitar strum, obviously, and Elias comes out and like he's like, "John Cena, get out of the ring," blah blah blah, and John gets out of the ring. Who, by the way, we forgot to mention, John Cena was seen drinking before the show. Like they kept cutting to him, and like he had his beer in his hand, and you could tell he was kind of hiding it. So Patrick, I need a guess. How many brewskis did you think John Cena put down before he got in the ring with Undertaker?
5.
Fuck, I was going to say 4. Okay. So I've seen some interesting theories on Twitter, because there's stories out there where that John Cena is like a legendary level drinker. But a lot of people are like, oh, it's apple juice. First off, no.
Like, what venue has apple juice, and point me in the direction.
Yeah, right. If anywhere has apple juice, let me know. And a lot of people just thought it was the same beer, but at multiple points you could tell it was more full and more empty than it was at certain. So yeah, I'm thinking John was a little buzzed at least getting into the ring, which is kind of funny when you're about to perform in front of 78,000 people. You're like, oh, I got a little buzz going. This is nice.
God, I'm just imagining a John Cena and what I'm pretty sure he could blow the rafters off with just like his yell.
Oh yeah,
because I forget which Bella he's married to, but like
Nikki.
It's like I can only imagine the she's scene.
Yeah, it's actually kind of frightening, but it's so John gets in the ring. Elias tells him to get out. Elias is like, John Cena gets pissed, attacks Elias, and John's like, oh shit, I guess Undertaker's not here. Walks out of the ring. Dong, Undertaker's music, and you're like, oh fuck, shit's about to go down.
Light comes up and his gear, his hat, and his jacket are in the ring. Spotlight. John's like, what? Yeah. And then like
the shittiest VFX lightning you have ever seen strikes the middle of the canvas, and it looks incredible on television.
It's just all that money you spent on the mask and the rainbow.
It literally looked like somebody drew lightning bolts to go. It was incredible.
They spent all their budget at the top of the show. They had none left.
Multi-billion-dollar company probably gets a 13-year-old to do their graphics. It's honestly some galaxy brain shit because it's incredible. Undertaker walks to the ring, who, by the way, not wearing a wig, doesn't have the short hair. He's in his Undertaker gear. He's got legitimate long hair. Match rings, and I guess that hip replacement did Undertaker a lot of good because he moved 1,000 times better in this match than he did all of last year against Roman Reigns.
Yeah, for sure. This is he's definitely better than last year, and he beats John Cena in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, Wikipedia has it listed as 2:45, which holy shit,
that's fast.
Like it's like literally the whole match is Undertaker gets his shit in. Undertaker hits old school. John does his shoulder blocks, goes for the 5-knuckle shuffle. Undertaker sits up, scares John shitless, choke slam, tombstone, match over. Like, that's it.
Like I don't know what good this did anybody. It's like they had cruiserweights on the pre-show for this.
Yeah, like it's weird because like on one hand, like I get why John Cena lost. Like John Cena's kind of like not really being the bully in this feud, but kind of like old man Mark come out of retirement.
Like he's being very entitled this whole story up to this point. Like I'm John Cena, of course I'm supposed to get a match.
Yeah. It was kind of a weird change for his character, really, and then he has the match and loses in under 3 minutes. So you're like, like what was the point of it? Like, could John not have fit in anywhere else? Really? Like, it's one of those weird things where, like, I get it. It was a cool little thing to see a 3-minute Undertaker John Cena match. Sure, I'll take it every day of the week. But also, just like, why? Like I would have liked to have been in a fly on the wall where they're like, all right, we're gonna have the Undertaker go over John Cena in 2.5 minutes. Go.
I guess like have Taker have his quickest WrestleMania victory, I guess,
but even then, like at Raw 25, Undertaker comes out who looked decrepit as fuck at Raw 25, which was just 2.5 months before WrestleMania, and he goes, "You've seen," or he pretty much goes, "I'm retired."
Yeah,
and then 2.5 months later, he's wrestling and looks to be in the best shape he's been in about 6 years.
And I guess
and he's wrestling later again this month.
Yeah, he's going to Saudi Arabia and fighting Chris Jericho in a casket match.
Which, take that as you will.
It's like, part of me is like, good for Taker. I'm glad he's feeling better. Mm-hmm. But realistically,
dude's 53. Just fucking park it, dude. You've done enough.
Like, I mean, I understand, like, as a wrestler, I'm not a wrestler, but just from hearing people say, like, people who are wrestlers and have to quit, it's like,
it's tough.
It's like losing this whole part of yourself, and it's terrible for them. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, just like the enormous toll that is taken on Undertaker's body, it's like it's physically probably time for him to hang out. And plus, like, what really more can we get? Yeah,
what can he do? He's won Rumbles. He's won world titles, tag titles, What, you going to give Undertaker a fucking United States Championship run? That would be weird.
like he's not going to bust out anything you haven't seen. He's just not physically able. He's not going to be doing topes or anything. While he's just kind of there because it's Mania, and I don't want to make it seem like bully Taker, but it's kind of like it's what this is a spot that this is something that neither of them really needed, because both of them have well stat resume. This isn't something they needed.
I'm interested to see how Undertaker looks in the Jericho match in a few weeks, because Jericho's not what he used to be, and you have the weird stipulation of a casket match, which if you don't know what a casket match is, it's exactly how it sounds. You're trying to get your opponent in a fucking casket and you close it. And
those matches are known for being
pretty bad.
Or just long. It's a back and forth, and kind of they're going to have this big thing and it just ends in 10 minutes, because I don't see Undertaker going no 20, 30 minute shindig, even with Jericho trying to carry him.
Yeah, we'll see. So
we'll find out.
That whole Greatest Royal Rumble, we could probably do a whole show on the Greatest Royal Rumble, because good Lord, that is going to be a fucking wild ride. But we're not here for that. We're here to talk WrestleMania. Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. If Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn win, they would have been rehired to SmackDown.
Yeah.
So obviously the big story coming into this match, Daniel Bryan unretiring. Thought he had life-altering CTE, brain lesions, cracked skull, all the shit.
Career-ending
injuries at 33. And then all of a sudden, he gets rechecked by about 30 doctors, and they're all like, oh no, actually everything's fine. Your brain's fine. Your skull's fine. Yeah, you can go and wrestle however you want. And does he do? He literally takes an apron powerbomb 5 seconds to the match.
Yeah, he did not skip a beat. He does a moonsault, I think.
Yeah, and if you don't know, apron, hardest part of the ring. Pat, did you know that the apron is the hardest part of the ring?
I only heard that about half a dozen times.
Yeah. So he didn't miss a beat. They do the whole bit where they're like, oh, Daniel Bryan's being carted to the back, and then he's like, nah, fuck, I ain't. I'm here.
It's just so weird that they how they just sort of hyped this match as Daniel Bryan's in-ring return, and then immediately cut the wind out of themselves, having him be injured, then have Shane McMahon, wrestle for 11 minutes.
Yeah, and then the thing with Shane is, he kept selling his stomach. He had a fucking part of his intestine cut out, a week and a half before Mania. Probably shouldn't have been cleared by any reputable doctor, but was for some reason, because I even know when you get your appendix removed, you're not supposed to be wet for a week, and that's with an appendix. He had a part of his intestine removed.
Yeah, they had diverticulitis. My father had that. They had to take out. They cut out a section of your intestine.
Yeah, that's what Lesnar had when he had colon cancer. That's what he got. They cut out 14 inches of his fucking small intestine. It's insane. And then you have Shane McMahon
doing coast to coast on Sammy,
doing a coast to coast, taking some insane bumps. I like to call Shane McMahon, he's the world's richest backyard wrestler ever, where he never learned how to properly wrestle, but fuck me, will he just crash into stuff and jump off of stuff and be a billionaire while doing it. So what did you think of the finish of the match? I know obviously Sammy's your guy.
Sammy and Kevin, they're my boys, and they're just out in the cold right now, man. I'm sad for them, but
bring our boys home.
But if Daniel's gonna have a match with anybody, Sammy was the perfect guy, because nobody's gonna take care of him like Sammy. Nobody's gonna work with him. Nobody's gonna sell like him. He was the right partner to have in this moment.
Yeah,
and honestly, it's kind of odd. It may sound weird, but I was expecting Daniel to turn on Shane.
See, I was expecting Shane to turn on Daniel. So because I know a lot of people had one of those two predictions during the show. They thought one of them was going to turn, and then
he just wins.
They just win, and they're best buds. And Shane McMahon wearing his patented baseball jersey had the yes on the back, number 34. So I thought that was kind of neat. It was a cool match. Was it the best match on the card? No, but it was it's cool seeing somebody you never thought was going to wrestle again go out there and just fucking kill it.
Yeah,
that to me is probably one of the biggest things to come out of the weekend. Is wow, Daniel Bryan, not only has he been out of the ring for 3 years, he's still one of the best people in the ring after not wrestling for 3 years.
That just shows his level of skill. That 3 years on the bench, and he's
he comes back and is like one of the best guys on the roster.
At least like he hasn't missed a day.
Yeah, absolutely. So up next, WWE Raw's Women's Championship, Nia Jax versus Alexa Bliss. My one qualm with this match, I thought this was another weird booking decision. I think it went too long, honestly. I think Nia should have just absolutely fucking destroyed Alexa and pinned her.
Yeah, I felt that was a common refrain for the night. Just the matches, however good, there might have been just like a bit too long.
Yeah.
I did think it was funny how like Nia just like murdered Mickey James.
Yeah.
And then like she beat up Alexa pretty handily, but
Yeah.
Alexa had like, Alexa's like sneaky and like
Alexa had her shine in the match for sure.
Yeah, but I'm just really glad Alexa's not champion anymore.
Yeah, I'm really happy that Nia won. I wasn't a big fan of the story they try to push with this match, especially with Alexa and Nia legit being like
best friends
in real life.
And I really like just seeing their like social media time hanging out. They're just super cute and fun, and their friendship's really adorable. And just like stupid body shaming,
especially with Alexa, who has suffered with like bulimia and stuff,
and anorexia.
Yeah, and obviously Nia was bullied as a child. She's talked about that before. So it's like one of those things, just kind of like a poor taste. And then it doesn't make sense with Mickey James being in on it, considering there was a whole storyline like 8 years ago where Mickey James was being fat shamed, and it doesn't really make sense.
Or like Alexa was doing that to her just a few months ago.
Yeah, so it's like the whole Piggy James shit. It's like bad taste, but I got the result I wanted. Like Nia Jax.
I'm glad Nia won.
Yeah.
She deserved it. I think she's a great person, and I'm glad she's having her moment.
Yeah.
And like I don't really want to disparage Alexa, but I think her title run had just run its course. I feel
it's such a weird title run too, because she went like 3 months without defending the title at all, like on television, which is like unheard of.
And it just kind of felt bad that to be like Sasha had that for like a week before Alexa got it back.
Not long at all, and like Alexa was the first person to have the distinction of winning both SmackDown and Raw, which is cool to see. Like somebody
she's
from
also
NXT.
the first to lose both.
Yeah, also the first to lose both, because Charlotte hasn't lost the SmackDown's women's title yet. So it's one of those things, and now it's cool that like this second crop of NXT, these NXT girls are getting their title runs. Like you have Alexa, now you have Carmella, SmackDown. Well, I guess Charlotte has lost now. Carmella, I completely fucking forgot about Money in the Bank, but Carmella is now SmackDown Women's Champ. Nia is Raw's Women's Champ. It's kind of cool to see that. But yeah, I think it could have went a little bit shorter. But I mean, that's my one minor qualm with the match itself.
It was a fine match.
Yeah, the match was fine. Up next, kind of a controversial match for the WWE Championship. AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura.
Shinsuke coming in as the winner of the men's Royal Rumble, and AJ coming in as like one of the biggest WWE champions. Very strong run. And Shinsuke having this grandiose entrance with the violin and I did think it was funny as he was going down the aisle, and it like when he's just like flanked on either side by violinists. There was one girl who had like a coy wink to the camera, and we're all like, "Oh, she's going to the business for herself."
Yeah, and like the fact that he was played down by like Alice Cooper's guitarist. I don't know if that's what guitarist, bassist. I don't know, but it was being played down by that. It was like this cool little remix of his theme. I was like, that's cool, but like. The match was so weird because it went 20 minutes, which I hate harping on match length so much, but it's weird when you look at some of these booking decisions. It went 20 minutes and they never really got going. Like it felt like it ended right when it started to get hot.
Yeah.
And then obviously I think the wrong guy went over with AJ winning.
Yeah, it was very odd. Like, it's not that the match was bad, but it's kind of like they've had better matches on TV.
Yeah.
Separately. And it's like,
and they've had a better match with each other.
Yeah.
Like, what was different here?
This should have been like a phenomenal, like, to borrow a term, phenomenal, but it, for whatever reason, it was just kind of ho-hum, and then AJ wins, and you see Shinsuke sort of offer the title back and support, and then low blow Shinsuke.
Yeah.
Low blow AJ, and like Shinsuke heel turn, and it's like, and then like I wanted to say, like, when Shinsuke threw AJ out of the ring, those are some shoot kicks that he hit.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. If there's one thing about Shinsuke, you can say he phones it in. He kicks the fuck out of you. Like, just look at anything that he's done for the past like 10 years. Like he trained by Antonio Inoki, who, if you don't know who Antonio Inoki is, a proper shoot stylist, if that is to use the term. Inoki would fuck you up. I mean, he used to make all the New Japan boys do MMA before Inoki, got bought out of the company. And so like Nakamura has a legit MMA background as well as like a ton of other New Japan guys. So it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, he kicks the shit out of you, but the match never really get out of second gear, to use that wrestling term. It just kind of was there. Like I literally think AJ's match with Bryan on SmackDown was much better than this match.
Yeah.
I think Nakamura as a heel will probably add a good dynamic he hasn't had since he's been in the WWE. Like the fact that he gets to use like his kind of chaos tendencies now.
Chaos Nakamura.
Yeah, so I'm happy with that. So I think there was net positive to come from this match.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, what? It felt like they could have done so much more. But I think they're teasing
something else.
Yeah, I think it's going to continue. I think Nakamura and Styles are both going to stay on SmackDown, which is weird.
Yeah.
But I think they'll both end up staying on SmackDown, or somehow both get drafted to Raw, which I think would probably be the wrong move. But yeah, so we have that. Up next,
the main event of the night.
The main event, WWE Raw Tag Team Championship. Braun Strowman and Nicholas versus The Bar, Sheamus and Cesaro. So the whole story of this match. Well, Pat, you explain the story of this match.
Yeah, they have the Bar as the tag team champions, very dominant. In their fourth reign as Raw Tag Team Champions, and then Braun Strowman appears. He's ready to have a big moment. He's ready to take charge, and he wins this Rumble, and he becomes a contender for the Raw Championships. But he's a single guy. He doesn't have a partner, and he had all these teasing moments like, yeah, I got a tag team partner. I'll be right back. He comes back with like a button-up shirt and glasses. I'm Braun Strowman.
Yeah. And
then he just whoops ass. And he comes, and again, there's been teased like, who's going to be his partner? It's going to be Elias. It's going to be this and that. And he comes out and it's like, I got my tag team partner. It's going to be one of you. And he just runs out in the audience and just like plucks this little boy out from the audience. And it's like, you're my partner, Nicholas.
Yeah.
And then like Braun just goes ham and just like whipping the crap out of Sheamus and Cesaro. And then like they get up, they whip him back, and Braun like saggers over the corner, and little 10-year-old Nicholas slaps his hand, and like boy shaking like a leaf the whole time, and he just like and he just tags back in, and then like Braun kills Cesaro or somebody, and they win, and they raised their titles high, and like little Nicholas is like trying to lift the title, and it's as big
Nicholas
as he is.
Literally cannot lift the title because he's 10, he's maybe 70 pounds.
Yeah,
like he's a small kid. And like the story that I read, he's allegedly the ref's son.
He's a referee.
A referee's son, yeah, John Cone's son, Nicholas. But now, canonically, the youngest champion in WWE history at 10 years old.
Yeah,
and didn't even wrestle. I thought it was neat. I thought it was really cute. It got over in the building. I realized a lot of people on Twitter didn't like it because they were like, "Oh, we wanted Bobby Lashley, we wanted Batista, we wanted Elias or something," and then it ended up being a 10-year-old.
I mean, I thought it was a lot of fun, and I loved the Bar, and like,
yeah, I do too.
And like, I wasn't sad that they lost because I thought the match had so much fun. Like, listen, wrestling is at its best when it's serious and when it's silly. Mm-hmm. Like, let wrestling be silly. Like, there's a time and a place, and I thought this was fine. Yeah, this is fine. This doesn't hurt Braun, doesn't hurt the Bar. The Bar is gonna win another title. They're fine. They're great. But I thought. This is great. And Twitter, I saw they love Nicholas. Yeah. Because I guess we just end up in two different spheres of wrestling Twitter.
Well, that and I just follow way too many fucking people. So.
But my Twitter feed was just unanimous in praise.
So was mine mostly. I mean, most of mine was like, "Oh, there's fucking rules," and like I like the people I was watching it with. They were like, "This is awesome."
It's fun. I liked it. I think it's fun. I did want to say like the entrance to the match was like a fever dream because like. Sheamus and Cesaro come out in like a boat led by like the Mardi Gras people with the giant paper mache heads, and they're just like, yeah, we're the Bar. And then Braun Strowman comes out, and he's chasing the way to Mardi Gras, but it's like they're just fleeing in terror. Like
and then he breaks the float in half.
He just throws it off and the stage, and it just breaks.
And at this point, it's like 10:30. You're like, am I dreaming this? What's happening?
It's like this is lucid dreaming because like I feel
I feel very much aware of what's happening, but at the same time, not really.
I feel like I'm not believing what I'm seeing.
Yeah, but yeah, I thought it was just a fun segment. Like, it was meant to be nothing. It was. I mean, Braun and Nicholas ended up vacating the Raw tag team titles on Raw the next night. Totally harmless, whatever. Harmless. Fun. I enjoyed it. Whatever.
Let wrestling be fun, people.
Yeah, let wrestling be fun. Now, the main event of the evening.
The true main event.
The true main event. Singles match for the WWE Universal Championship. Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar.
3 years in the making.
3 years since WrestleMania 31. You have been building up Roman Reigns to be the guy. Roman Reigns' time to be crowned the guy is here. He needs to win the world title. He needs to finally put away Brock. And none of that happened.
Like, of all the matches, this is the one everybody thought, oh, this is a slam dunk. We've known about this for years. We knew this was coming.
Their match at 31 was great.
You had the man who, broke the Undertaker's streak and the man who
retired Undertaker, which I guess you really can't say now. But the only two guys who have ever beaten Undertaker at WrestleMania, we can't say that. Wrestling for the biggest prize in sports entertainment. And they just go out there and have a big, wet fucking shit. Like, it's absurd how bad that match was.
Like, it's like, Brock doesn't give a shit about anything. If he tickled the right button, he could put out a banger. Like his match with AJ, Backlash last year?
Survivor Series.
Yeah. That was a great match.
Yeah. Or like the Fatal 4-Way from SummerSlam with Braun, Joe, Reigns, and Lesnar. That match was great. But Brock Lesnar is at the point of he just doesn't care.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obvious. The dude's going to go fight in UFC again. That's obvious. And I hate to be like, he doesn't care. But he doesn't. He hasn't cared for a long time. He cares about the money. When you're getting paid $250,000 per appearance, you really could give less of a shit what goes on. You would probably let somebody shit on your chest for $250,000.
I mean, if he gets paid the same money regardless of what he does,
yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
I imagine he probably makes more at something like WrestleMania. Probably something more than his regular $250,000 rate. So it's one of those things like, and obviously Lesnar's old. He's 41, old for professional wrestling standards. He gets gassed in about 11 seconds into the match. Literally turns an unhealthy color red.
That's why they call him Brock Lobster.
Yeah, Brock Lobster out there looks sunburned after doing any sort of physical activity. To Roman's credit, I think Roman tried in this match. Roman did as best as you can with a bag of potatoes, because that's what Lesnar was in this match.
Just glazed ham of a person.
Yeah, like it makes me sad too, because, and I, again, hate going on a tangent like this, but Roman Reigns gets a lot of shit, and I realize why he gets a lot of shit. He's been shoved down the viewers' throats for 2, 3, 4 years since the Shield broke up. Went over in the Royal Rumble at the wrong time, went over Daniel Bryan at the wrong time. So it's one of those things. I get why a lot of viewers resent Roman Reigns. But if you look at Roman Reigns from the perspective of just in-ring work, just promo ability, dude's actually really, really good.
Yeah, the problem's not with him. He can wrestle, he can go, he works his ass off.
Mm-hmm. There has not been a top guy booked worse than Roman Reigns ever.
And it may sound like wrestling sacrilege to a certain people, but at this point, I just feel bad for Roman Reigns.
Yeah, I mean, like,
if he's meant to be, the crown prince,
yeah,
but they keep just like whoop, they just he just loses all these big things, and it's kind of like, when's he gonna get it? Just let him get it.
Yeah,
because he flew his family out to see him win, and then.
Yeah, and
it didn't happen.
And like the ending of the match, let's talk about the ending real quick. So Brock Lesnar, legitimately, there was no blading involved, no blood vessel packets. Brock Lesnar legitimately busts Roman Reigns open with some shots to the head,
and he is gushing blood.
I mean, more blood than I've seen in a probably since the John Cena Umaga Last Man Standing match, like where John Cena is just fucking covered in blood. There's that, like, it's like Passion of the Christ. Roman is. Like the ring, the canvas is.
You don't realize, you just see him like just kind of like his hair is dripping. Like,
dropping. At first, you see it on his arm,
and you're just like, "Where's that? That's coming from his hair." Then you look at his head, and then like when he gets up, his hair gets to his face, and then like his whole face. Yeah, that's for better or worse, that's a career moment for
absolutely
for him roaring with a face covered in blood.
That would have been his that would have been his Austin moment. Like, when Austin's bleeding and passes out from the sharpshooter at, 13, that would have been his Austin moment. Have him, Hulk up from the blood, go into this rage and just beat the fucking shit out of Lesnar. Lesnar hits him. He literally hits a Superman punch, bounces off the ropes for a spear. Lesnar picks him up. The 6 fucking F5 of the match, which, by the way, you have now completely killed the F5 as a credible finisher. Like, fuck, that's all out the window.
If he kills literally every person on Earth with one F5?
With one, Roman Reigns kicked out of 5. It took 6 to put him down. Like, come on. And and he gets pinned, and you're just like, what the whole shit happened here?
I almost feel like just for a second everybody was just quiet.
Yeah,
because everybody knew, like, quote knew this outcome, and then it didn't happen. And everybody just like, well, what the fuck happens now?
Yeah, and then obviously there's the rumors going around that Brock and Vince got into it backstage. Brock demanded more money, which I don't think that was the case. And now, obviously Brock and Reigns is happening again in Saudi Arabia in 3 weeks for the steel cage. And, like, a question has to come up. Did they pay so much money that Vince literally threw out the finish of WrestleMania for these, money marks in Saudi Arabia? Like, it's very plausible that they were like, oh, we want Roman to win the title here. And it happened because they paid WWE $70 million.
It's like, we'll just give you a jillion dollars.
Yeah, but we want Roman Reigns to become the guy in Saudi Arabia. It's so weird. And now there's the rumor, is Brock Lesnar signed to a short-term contract? Is he only going to wrestle one more match in the WWE? Because he's obviously fighting the UFC again. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, that's happening. This is how soon it is.
Yeah, I mean, Brock Lesnar still has 6 months to serve on his steroid suspension that he suffered from his last UFC fight. So at the earliest, he can't fight till October. So, like, you would think he'll probably fight at the end of the year in December. Is he going to wrestle anymore? What's happening with him? And, like, so you have that up in the air, which personally, I wouldn't have a guy have a 400-day title reign where I'm like, what are you doing next, dude? Like, obviously, Vince McMahon has this weird relationship with big steroidy guys that have no respect for him, and the fact that he just fucking loves them. He's just like, oh, you don't respect me, and I can respect that though, brother. And
it's like this abusive relation that he just pursues.
Yeah, it's so fucking weird. Like, one of the richest people on the planet just loves being grabbed by the balls and being like, I own you, pay me more money. Like, it's baffling. It's just truly baffling. And I like,
if you thought you knew something about a man's sex life, it's probably going to be from Triple H and Stephanie McMahon with their entrances.
Yeah, for sure. They love motorcycles in the bedroom. They actually sleep in Harley Davidson beds, like, for a child. No, but I honestly, I think it was kind of a wet fart ending to what I thought was a really good WrestleMania.
Yeah, like, they had some weird moments, as any WrestleMania would, but, like, overall, I thought it was fairly strong.
Yeah, I thought it, like, do you think this was better than last year's WrestleMania? Because I was live at last year's WrestleMania, and I thought this year's WrestleMania was better than last year's WrestleMania.
Yeah, because I feel, what year was it that was really just crappy? Was it 32?
32 had Shane, Undertaker, Hell in a Cell, the Roman Triple H match main event. Yeah, it was 32.
Because 32 was pretty weak.
32 was dog shit. No, 34 was definitely better than 32, 33. I can see the case for 31. Probably the best WrestleMania since WrestleMania 30.
So, like, I
had a
positive.
I had a fun time with it.
Yeah,
it was a fun, like, I get the idea of saying, well, I just sat down and watched 7 hours of wrestling, to a non-wrestling viewer like Cody, who's been kindly listening to the podcast for an hour and a half, 2 hours now. It's just like, fuck all that noise, but it's actually a really fun show.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like,
it's fun with people.
Yeah, no, it's wrestling is definitely a more fun.
It's a spectator event.
Like, that's why obviously that's why live show bias exists. It's because you enjoyed these things more with a crowd. Like, I enjoyed NXT so much when we watched it live on Saturday, but I had to come home and rewatch it again because I didn't remember jack shit.
Because we're just like,
when we were there I was there for the latter half. I think I can hear myself. Hopefully I can. I was there for the latter half of that episode, or the NXT. And the best part about it was literally watching you guys roll around and jump around for that vibe.
It was awesome. Patrick tried to hurricane me at one point, which was a hoot.
I'm pretty sure I hit one of our friends was like at least two or three stunners, a bulldog or two.
Yeah. No, it was a ton of fun. It's just a ton of fun to watch wrestling with your friends. Highly recommend it. Highly recommend going out and getting some friends and watching some wrestling. Because there's nothing better. Last thing that I want to touch on before we leave.
The Post-Mania.
The Post-Mania. Obviously, we're not going to go through and review Raw and SmackDown. That we would be here for another hour. I want to talk about the NXT call-ups.
Yes.
So on Raw, we had No Way Jose. We had Authors of Pain. We had Ember Moon. Is that it? No Way Jose, Authors of Pain, Ember Moon.
Yeah, I think that was it. We had the return. We had the return of Jeff Hardy.
Return of Jeff Hardy, return of Samoa Joe, the return of Bobby Lashley.
Yes.
So it's. I was gonna look it up. So it Raw has definitely been revitalized.
Yeah.
Like adding a star to their women's roster, adding multiple stars back to their male roster. I mean, Jeff Hardy, Samoa Joe, and Bobby Lashley all right now could be inserted into world title programs and it not come off as weird.
Yeah, they can probably get a shot straight to it.
Yeah, so I mean, Samoa Joe is challenging Roman Reigns at Backlash. If Roman Reigns is champion, that's a fucking championship match, obviously.
Yeah.
So and then Authors of Pain. I don't like that they left Paul Ellering. I get why they did because Paul Ellering obviously doesn't want to be on the road every week. I get that, but God, Paul Ellering is such a good fucking part of that act.
Yeah, like he's really. I did think he's really good, but I also kind of feel like it makes sense in the way because this is them graduating.
Yeah,
this is them from NXT to the main roster, so it may feel like they've outgrown Paul. Like they don't need him to be their leader. They can lead themselves.
Yeah.
And I will since I don't have cable at my house, I had to watch it on Hulu. I was a little irritated to cut Ember's debut.
Oh, did they?
That was completely absent from the Hulu version. So I'm like,
even the match,
the whole the only thing I heard was her name. I'm just like, where is she? And then I go on YouTube and watch it, and I was hyped because I love Ember Moon.
Yeah,
but I realize Hulu gets a lot of gap because a lot of stuff gets cut from the Hulu edits, but Hulu does not edit Raw and SmackDown themselves. That they just receive it.
Yeah, they just receive the edits
to put it on air. So it's just like, dang, that got cut.
But what a weird thing to get cut, though.
I mean, no offense to No Way Jose, but I thought
if anybody was cut, it'd be him.
Yeah, and I like No Way Jose, but
because he had a squash match against John Skyler, which I thought was kind of cool because they both came up in CWF Mid Atlantic. And John Skyler got to work that squash match with No Way Jose, so I thought that was kind of cool. No Way Jose to me is just going to be the career lower mid card guy though, like maybe get a couple championship shots, Intercontinental United States Championship shots here and there, but he's totally a Santino character. Like with the whole his entrance music is hype as fuck though.
Yeah.
The No Way Jose, I fucking love it. Like it just makes you want to. It's just one of those theme songs that makes you just want to fucking go insane, and I love it. And I think the main event of Raw was really good with Hardy, Balor, Rollins versus the Miz, Taraj. I think that was kind of cool. You don't have your world title, obviously, to be the focus of the show. So elevating the Intercontinental Championship to main eventing the Raw After Mania show was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Jeff Hardy looked good in his return. So I love the Jeff Hardy, Bray Wyatt, Matt Hardy backstage segment.
Yeah.
Where they're just all having this weird moment. And then Jeff Hardy turns around and is like, all right, I'm ready, guys. And it's Seth Rollins and Finn Balor. And they're just like, what the hell is going on here? And it's just like a family stuff. And then they go off.
I don't understand it, but one thing is funny is that how in the story Jeff kind of just plays along with Matt's weirdness, but in real life it's the other way around.
Oh no, absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, Raw super strong. I mean, again, your standard post Raw after or post WrestleMania Raw, not a ton of matches, a lot of story, a lot of debuts. But then SmackDown the next night. The big news coming in, Paige retired on Raw. Paige comes in, new GM of SmackDown.
Yeah.
Daniel Bryan's out. Daniel Bryan's wrestler now.
Yeah.
And she makes AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan. You're like, oh shit, okay. We can get down with that. And then, what was weird to me, there wasn't any debuts on SmackDown aside from the Iconics, the former Iconic duo, Peyton Royce, Billie Kay. I thought they did a phenomenal job just they were probably the most overact on SmackDown that night outside of Daniel Bryan.
Yeah,
I would say, like, they go in, they do their shtick, they beat down Charlotte, and then you hear like FAB, fabulous. I'm not going to spell fabulous here because I would be utterly embarrassed if I spelled it wrong, which is very possible. And Carmella comes out, cashes in. Carmella gets her moment, so it's kind of cool that like Carmella gets her moment in a believable way. She beats Charlotte, and then the Iconics. Because apparently the whole story with that is they couldn't get the trademark for Iconic Duo, so now they're the Iconics with 2 I's.
Yeah.
So it's IICONICS. A lot of I's and C's.
You thought they would probably like capitalize the other I?
Yeah, it's no, I believe it's 2 lowercase I's, and it's just all lowercase. I don't because it's supposed to be the Roman numerals too.
Yeah, I think it was like 2 capital I's and then Iconics.
Oh yeah.
But like. But I love Billie Kay and Peyton Royce, and I'm glad they're on the main roster. And Peyton Royce was in the Women's Rumble.
Yeah, she was in the Battle Royal. So I mean that was cool. And then obviously Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles, kind of capping off WWE's weekend is like, if you told me a month ago that was happening, I'd been like, no fucking way, no way. And then like they go out there, they kill it. Nakamura comes in, Kinshasa to Daniel Bryan, so Daniel Bryan gets the DQ win, kicks AJ in the dick like 8 times. It rules. Nakamura's in there, like I already like heel Nakamura more than I've liked Nakamura on the main roster or on the WWE roster at all since he's came to the WWE. So that's kind of cool. So Patrick, in kind of closing thoughts, what was your overall thoughts of the weekend?
I thought it was a very strong weekend for WWE wrestling, and I didn't get a chance to experience much of it outside of it wrestling, but I heard it was good too. But it's been a very fun weekend, and it's been a blast just to go through it all as a fan and go through it with my friends and see it all. And it's just been a lot of fun, and I'm very excited and interested to see what comes next.
Yeah, that's where I stand. Like NXT, watching that with all of us on Saturday was a ton of fun. Wrestlemania was a ton of fun. Raw SmackDown was a ton of fun. Probably the most fun I've had watching wrestling in probably about a year.
Yeah.
So which is absurd when you think about just the amount of content like squished into 4, and that doesn't even count the non-WWE wrestling I watched, which was about 6 shows worth.
Yeah.
So like just a lot of wrestling, just a fun time had by all. Like just a strong week. It's one of those weekends where I'm like, I'm glad I'm a fan of this because no other sport can bring me a joy like this than pro wrestling, and it makes me really happy to just like be a part of all that.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah. So, well, Patrick, if you're done here, first off, I'd like to thank Cody for being here, being technical guy for how long did we go, Cody? 2 hours of wrestling talk, and he is not fucking down with it at all. So thank you. So thank you for Cody for being here. Thank you for listening to the All You Can Hear podcast.
Yeah, fuck you, Pat.
Well, obviously thank you, Pat, but Pat also loves wrestling. So like easier to.
It's like you
This was also planned very last minute. This isn't something we had planned on the schedule. I literally like last Wednesday was like, y'all want to do a WrestleMania show? And they're like, sure. And so that
like I've been waiting to do a Wrestle Talk on the podcast for a long time.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, so that it's kind of cool. We got to bring that to life. Thank you guys for listening. I realize a lot of you may not be regular listeners, so just to tell you what we got coming up next, we upload every Monday. Next on April 16th, we're uploading like a spring anime 2018 review/preview where we're looking at some of the more hyped anime of the season. We're doing that. The next Monday, we're doing another taste test. We're doing a Lay's Chips taste test, so that's going to be a lot of fun. And then on April 30th, we're actually celebrating our 1-year anniversary. It's going to be like a fun little variety show thing, so definitely check that out. And then the 27th, the Friday, we're releasing another non-canon file, which is what this is, on Marvel's Infinity War. So that would be a lot of fun. So a lot of content coming at you these summer months. May, June, and July are fucking packed. But thank you for listening. If you're listening on SoundCloud, leave us a like on there. Follow us on SoundCloud. If you're listening on iTunes, leave us a review or a subscription or just a rating. That helps. On Overcast, on Google Play, leave us some sort of feedback. We appreciate all sorts of feedback, both positive and negative. We love it. It feeds us and it helps us make the podcast better. You can follow us on Twitter at AYCH Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram, AYCH Podcast. And you can follow us on twitch.tv/AllYouCanHear. We currently do one stream a week on Tuesdays. a lot. Recently, it's been twice a week. We've been doing Tuesdays and Saturdays. And then I feel like in the summer months, that's definitely going to ramp up. And you can follow me, Tanner, on Twitter at Tanner1495.
And this is Patrick. Thank you for listening. You can follow me on Instagram and Instagram and Twitter at John Lost His Name. You can follow me on Facebook and John Lost His Name Art.
And yeah, let's see. Thanks for being. We may tell us if you guys want us to do more wrestling non-canons. We may try to do one for all of the big 4 pay-per-views. Maybe let us know how you feel. And thanks for listening.